What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Alex Sports Talk and Bets. I'm going to talk about the Miami Dolphins. Then I'm going to talk about these Week 2 parlays because what I was originally doing was I was putting the parlays in the shorts, right? Because they're kind of quick and easy to make, and they get to more people since this is a fairly new channel. But the problem I was running into is people sometimes wouldn't see the shorts with the picks until the games have already happened, or sometimes the next day. So they'd be like, oh, these were really good picks and stuff, but I didn't really get an opportunity to actually utilize them. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you guys some of the parlays the day before. So that way you get more time to adjust, make any modifications you want, or to just tell flat out. All right? And as always, never bet what you can't afford to lose. And, there's always the risk that you could lose. All right, we have a very high hit rate over here, but it's never really 100%. It's just very high. All right, so with that being said, let's talk about the Dolphins first. Because I had gotten a debate with someone about the Dolphins. I had told this someone that one, Tua is trash, and two, Mike McDaniel is overrated as a coach. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't want to crap on Tua too much because he's hurt right now, and in my opinion, he probably should retire. I don't think he's going to, but he probably should. So I don't want to dump on him too much. But he sucks. He's not a good quarterback. He was doing terrible before he got injured in that game. And to me, right, this is how you know the difference between like a great quarterback who's just having a bad game and a bad quarterback. All right. When I see you under pressure and you're on your way to the ground and you're throwing the ball, and Tua does this all the time. You're throwing the ball. You can't get into your stance. You guys can't see my feet, but you can't set your feet and get into a stance. You can't get your arm behind the throw. You should just be taking this sack, right? Especially as a veteran. At this point, Tua is a veteran. So you should just take the sack. When I see quarterbacks in those scenarios still attempt to throw the ball, right? You don't know where the ball's going. You can't get nothing on it. When you throw a duck into any secondary at any level of football, but especially the professional level of football, is going to be intercepted 9 out of 10 times. It is always better to just take the sack than to just lob up a duck, right? And when I see quarterbacks, and like I said, especially veteran quarterbacks with years of experience starting doing things like this, they suck. Right? This is not something they're going to grow out of. Usually it means they're done. Look at the quarterbacks who typically do stuff like that. It's not just Tua. Daniel Jones, another example. He typically does that. Daniel Jones sucks. Deshaun Watson is another example of a quarterback who typically does that. Deshaun Watson sucks. There's a clear pattern here, guys. And there's another pattern here. Quarterbacks who tend to do that usually are shell-shocked. And by shell-shocked, I mean these are quarterbacks who get sacked a lot. They generally don't have very good offensive lines. So when they see a defender coming in, they've been sacked a lot. They've been hurt a lot. All right, Daniel Jones, again, coming off of a lot of injuries. Tua's coming off of a lot of injuries. Deshaun Watson is coming off of more sexual assault claims than injuries. But either way, he has been banged up lately, too. When you see these guys and they do these things, you have to figure it's because they're shell-shocked. They're not comfortable taking a hit because it's already like they have PTSD almost from all the time they've been injured and how hard they've been hit in past games. All right, so they're just trying to get the ball out of their hands. But they don't realize not only are turnovers alone a big indication that you losing the game, 9 out of 10 times, if you lose the turnover battle, you're going to lose the game. But if you happen to throw a pick six, it's damn near guaranteed you're going to lose that game. That's as close to 10 out of 10 as you can get. It has to be like 9.8 out of 10 times you throw a pick six, you're going to lose. Right? It's always better to take the sack. When I see a quarterback who's unwilling to do that, that's a bad quarterback. Because to me, that's a trait you may not be able to fix, especially when this is a veteran who started multiple seasons. Tua should know better. Just like Daniel Jones should know better. Just like Deshaun Watson should know better. But they don't. On top of that, you have a you have a coach who wants to build his entire offense off of explosive plays, but you don't have a quarterback with an explosive arm. Tua has a noodle arm. He underthrows Jalen Waddle. He underthrows Tyreek Hill all the time. Not some of the time. Most of the time, he overthrows them. All right? So he's not even tailored to playing in the offense that he's playing in. All right? Rather than be in that Shanahan system that you see Sean McVay run, that you see Matt LaFleur run, Kevin O'Connell, Somebody like Tua will be more suited for like a short passing, pick your spot game. You know, not the big explosive plays that Mike McDaniel wants to do. He's not really suited for that. He doesn't have a live enough arm to be able to successfully do that. Now, here's the thing, because now I'm going to move into Mike McDaniel really quick before we get into these parlays. Mike McDaniel is a coach who will always look like one of the best in the league. And I told the dude I was debating with about that. He's always going to look like one of the best in the league when he's playing inferior competition. When he's playing a team that's not good. As soon as he plays a good team, he can't win. He has a 1-11 record against winning teams. And the reason he has a 1-11 record against winning teams is because all you have to do to beat Mike McDaniel is just drop two safeties deep. Drop two safeties way deep and just force them to have to ground and pound their way up the field. They don't want to be methodical. They don't want to take their time. They want explosive plays. The problem with coaches who can draw up explosive plays is that you live and die by those explosive plays. So when those explosive plays are not there, you can't do anything. When you're playing a good team that's well coached, they're going to take away what you want to do the most. Right? This is why he has a 1-11 record against teams with winning records. Because they're going to take that away. Okay, we're going to drop our safeties deep. Ain't going to be no Tyreek Hill bombs. Right? And if you do get one, you just get one. Ain't going to be no Jalen Waddle bombs. Are you guys willing to run the ball down our throats the entire game? Are you going to take 5 to 10 yards passing plays the entire game? The Dolphins they don't do that. They don't do that. And to be honest with you, Tua, after a while, you start hitting them, you start blitzing them. Even if they did attempt to do that, he's going to throw a pick before they get down that field. That's just the reality. Everything about Miami is built for finesse. Miami reminds me of how the Green Bay Packers used to be when Mike McCarthy was the coach. Where it's like, these guys are built to run up the score. And if you muck the game up, if you have a good defense, if you make them have to be methodical, they can't do it. They're not even built to do it. Right? That's what the Dolphins, that's what they remind me of. That's what they remind me of. And now you got Tua injured. So in my opinion, the Dolphins are done. Tua's injured, the Dolphins are done. You got guys they could bring in, they could trade for Jameis Winston, they can bring in Ryan Tannehill, but here's the problem. The Dolphins don't have the type of leadership on that team, nor do I believe they have the type of coach with a personality that can survive the bumps in the road that's about to come, assuming Tua retires as he should. Right? Tyreek Hill, amazing player, right? Amazing player. Top 3 receiver in the league. He is not the dude you want on your team when you start losing. Jalen Ramsey is not the dude you want on your team when you start losing. Those two guys are going to become cancers. Let the Dolphins fall to 1-3. Just let it happen. I'm telling you that team's going to implode. All right? And to an extent, you go out, you guys got to realize, Dolphins were in win now mode. So Mike McDaniel is really on the hot seat. Because you just paid Tyreek Hill. You paid Jalen Waddle. You played Tua stupidly. I don't know why they married Tua. You know he's hurt all the time. You know he's hurt all the time. So I don't know why they married Tua. But they got married to Tua. Now they're about to probably have to get a divorce and pay him some alimony and send him on his way. But I digress. All right? You paid Jalen Ramsey. You traded for Bradley Chubb. These are moves you make when you think your team is close to winning. Now, they should have kept their defensive tackle. Is it Wilson? Is it Wilcox? Can't remember his name. They really should have kept them because that defense is lacking without him. But I digress on that part. These are moves you make when you think your team is ready to win it all. The problem is they're not. Again, the Dolphins, you take away their explosive plays, they don't have many answers. You make them play big boy ball, play tough ball, they just don't have many answers for that. They don't. They don't know what to do. That's not the way they want to play. So when you get to the playoffs, that's the way you have to play. You got a cold game in Kansas City and you just quit. This is why I said the team is going to implode. Because that game in Kansas City tells you all you need to know really about the Miami Dolphins. They quit in that game. You can't quit. It's too hard to make the NFL playoffs, keep everybody healthy, and make a solid run for you to get there and just quit because it's cold. You can't do that. And that's what they did. They quit. They didn't even try. They didn't want to be there. They quit. Now this year, they're probably not going to get there, especially if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy on the Jets, because the Jets aren't really good either, and we're going to get to the Jets, but they're better than the Dolphins. So they're not even going to make the playoffs now. So if they quit in the playoffs, what you think they're going to do when they go 1-3? And Ramsey start running his mouth. And Tyreek Hill start running his mouth. And what do you think the owner's going to do when he's looking at Mike McDaniel? Like, okay, this is your 4th year coaching, right? Well, this will be going into your 4th year coaching after this year. You have a 1-11 record against winning teams, which is about to get a lot worse this season. And we're married to all these guys. Like the Dolphins are in a situation where for the next 3 years, this is their team. Now they can blow the team up and rebuild, but they cannot change it because they already paid everybody. So if these are our guys, you can't win with these guys. Now I have to make the decision of, do I want to blow this team up and rebuild with you, or do I just want to move on? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't think Mike McDaniel is a head coach. I think he'll be a great offensive coordinator somewhere. I don't think he's a leader of men. I don't think his players really respect him like that. I just think they like that he draws things up to get them the ball, but I don't think they really respect him like that. I don't. That team lacks discipline, and more importantly, that team lacks heart. And when a team lacks discipline and they lack heart, that's a reflection of the coach. You can say it's a reflection of the players, but to me, that's a reflection of the coach. Because Tyreek didn't lack heart in the Chiefs. Well, to be fair, Tyreek was the only one who even played in that cold game. But Jalen Ramsey didn't lack heart with the Rams, or with the Jaguars for that matter. But now all of a sudden it's like they're very nonchalant about everything. So we're gonna see. I'll say this: if Mike McDaniel is able to correct the ship and at least get them to the playoffs without Tua, which I don't think he's gonna be able to do, but if he can, then he'll probably be able to save his job. But in my opinion, I think the Dolphins are done. I just think this is a team. It's like a ticking time bomb. And everything's kind of going wrong really quick for them. They really should have lost to the Jaguars. They should be 0-2 right now, but the Jaguars can't get out their own way. So we'll see how it turns out, but I think that they're done. All right, so just remember that I said it to you guys. We're going to check back in on the Dolphins when we get closer to like the mid or the end of the season. But I don't see them coming out of this. I don't think they have the fortitude for it. So with that being said, let's get straight into the picks. If someone wants to watch this and timestamp it for me to let people know when we're going to get into the picks, feel free to do that. But let's start looking at some of the picks for tomorrow, all right? So the first game that pops up is the New Orleans Saints and the Dallas Cowboys. I can really see that game going any way. I really can. I'm tempted to tell you that if you're... So, just like I said at the beginning of the video, right? Take what you like of what I say, leave what you don't like of what I say. But I'm looking at this Saints game against the Cowboys. If it was me, I would bump the Saints spread up. Right now it's at 6.5. I would never really like 6.5. I don't like half spreads as it is, but I definitely don't like 6.5 spreads. Because if you lose by 7, a touchdown, 7 points, right? Obviously teams lose by 3, they lose by 4, they lose by 1, right? But a touchdown, 7 points. So if the Saints lose by a touchdown, you lose this bet if you take that spread. If it was me, I would take the Saints about 10.5. If you take the Saints for about 10.5, you still get really good odds. I think they have a high probability of upsetting the Cowboys. So if you want to be aggressive, they got plus 215. I think that could happen. But if you want to be safe, I would take the Saints 10.5 because that way you're covered if they lose and you're covered if they win. I think that's going to be a close game. I think that's going to be a good game. But 6.5 is a trap. So if you're going to take the spread, take 10.5. All right? I think there's more value with the Saints in that game than with the Cowboys. Moving forward, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you have the Detroit Lions. And the game is in Detroit. If I were you guys, I would do the same thing I just said with the Saints game, and I would take the Bucks. The Bucks spread right now is at 7.5. To be honest with you, you really could just take that 7.5 spread. Honestly. Matter of fact, I would. I'm going to tell you guys, I would take that 7.5 spread. I would take the 7.5 spread. All right? The next one you got the Cleveland Browns, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Take Jacksonville to win that game. If you want to get aggressive and get some extra money and boost your parlay up, I would say Jacksonville's going to win that game by at least 6.5. Deshaun Watson is done. I don't know why they're starting him this week. That team does not like him, and I don't blame them because he sucks. The fan base does not like him, and I don't blame them because he sucks. I don't know why he's still out. Well, I do know why he's still out. He's got $255 million guaranteed contract. Now all of a sudden he has some other. From what I'm hearing, there's some other woman about to accuse him. So I don't know what's going on. But if Deshaun Watson is starting to, the only way you take the Browns in that game is if something comes out tomorrow and it changes and Watson is not starting. But so far as I know, Watson is starting. Take the Jaguars money line. And if you really want to get aggressive, and this is probably what I'm going to do, I'm going to boost them up to 6.5 on the spread, which will pay you about plus 234. That's what I would do. All right. So we got San Francisco and Minnesota. Take San Francisco on the money line if you want to be safe. If you want to be a little more aggressive, I would take San Francisco to win this game by about 6.5. That would give you plus money. I don't think the Vikings have any chance of beating the 49ers. I don't know why the spread's not higher, to be completely honest with you. Kyle Shanahan is an amazing coach. And the thing about it is, even without Christian McCarthy, they still have tons more talent than the Vikings. The Vikings got beaten up on a bad Giants team last week. I just don't see them being able to really do anything with the 49ers. I don't think they'll be able to score very much on the 49ers. Justin Jefferson is soft. When you get in his face, he tends to clamp up. I don't think that they'll be able to stop the 49ers either. I can't even really name that many people on the Vikings defense, man. They cleared their whole defense out. I think they still got Harrison Smith. I believe they still have Danielle Hunter. Yeah, I don't really know anyone else on that defense. I'm a Packers fan, so I'm in the division. But, I mean, I know them, like Cameron Dancer, I think his name is, and stuff like that, but they're not really good players. Trust me, the 49ers are going to rock them. That's the safest. That's so far the safest bet that I see out here is the 49ers rocking the Vikings. The next one they have is the Chargers and the Panthers. Never mind, I changed my mind. The Panthers are going to rock the Chargers are going to rock the Panthers too. They're like a tie with the 49ers. Take the spread. The spread is 4.5. They'll beat the Panthers by more than 4.5. The Panthers are a joke. They have bad management. They have a bad coach. They have a trash quarterback. He's too short, too skinny. Doesn't have a lot of enough arm to play in the NFL. And they should have took CJ Stroud. They're going to get killed tomorrow. Pound the Chargers money line. Pound it. All right, you got the Ravens going up against the Raiders. Ravens had a tough loss last week to the Chiefs. They're at home. It's their home opener. The Raiders played the Chargers better than a lot of people probably thought that they would. But that's because the Chargers, I'm going to get into more depth about the Chargers later, but they're not as good as people think that they're going to be. I mean, they're going to pound the Panthers, but that's not saying much. I think the Ravens make a statement on the Raiders. The money line is only 430, which is nothing. So I would take a spread. If you want to be safe, just take the Ravens to win by a touchdown, which will be 6.5. But I personally would bump the Ravens up to 13.5, which would give you like plus 234. I would do that because I think they're going to pound the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders stay within 2 touchdowns of the Ravens. I think it's a statement game for the Ravens. I think they pound the Raiders, all right? So then you got Seattle. You have New England. Just take Seattle's money line. You might can take the spread. The spread's not bad, but I would just take the money line. You never know with Seattle, man. They're a weird team. I do think that they'll win that game. They're on the road, too. I would just take their money line. I don't think that they'll get upset, but I also don't think that they're going to blow them out. Just take their money line. You got the Colts and the Packers. All right? This is an intriguing game because Matt LaFleur is one of those coaches who can kind of draw up plays for anybody, too. And the Packers have the benefit of being at home. I like Anthony Richardson, but I don't really think he's that much better than Malik Willis. He does have the advantage of being in his system for longer. So with all of that stuff being said, and kind of cutting it short and getting to my point here, they have the spread at 3 for Green Bay. If this was me, I would bump Green Bay spread up to 7.5 and take that, or just take the Colts money line. But I think there's a high chance Green Bay might be able to pull an upset on Indianapolis here. Home opener, Matt LaFleur at the helm. I think their defense will be able to stop the Colts. Green Bay 7.5. That way you're covered either way, or just take the Colts money line and leave the spread alone because there's just not that much of a gap between the two anyway. All right, you got the Jets and the Titans. The Jets are going to beat the Titans. There ain't really much to talk about here. If you want to be safe, you take the Jets spread. I would bump the Jets up to win it by at least 6.5. That'll give you plus money. The Giants and the Commanders is an interesting one. If it was me, I would probably roll with. This is an interesting one, man. This is tough. I'm going to go with the Giants. I would probably stay away from this game, to be honest with you guys. But if you're going to make me pick one, I would go with the Giants. I would just take the money line. I think Daniel Jones might be. Daniel Jones is trash, but I think the Giants defense can give Jaden Daniels some trouble, especially up front with that defensive line. I think their secondary is good enough to keep up with the Commanders' receiving core where they messed up getting rid of John Dotson. I think Daniel Jones can make enough plays to win that game. You got the Cardinals, you got the Rams. This is another one that could kind of go either way. I don't know if Puka Nacua off the top of my head is going to be playing or not. I would trust the Rams. Money line. That's a game I would stay away from, but if you're making me pick, I would pick the Rams. The Chiefs and the Bengals, the Chiefs are going to beat the Bengals. Now, come back to me in January, right? Because it takes the Bengals a while to get going. Come back to me in January and we'll see. But as of right now, the Chiefs are going to beat the Bengals. Pound the Chiefs money line in that game. Pittsburgh and Denver, this is kind of a bum bowl, but Pittsburgh's going to beat Denver. Bo Nick's not going to be able to do anything with that defense. Pound the Pittsburgh Steelers money line, they're going to win that game, right? Then we go into Sunday Night Football. I don't know why the hell the Bears are even on Sunday Night Football. Caleb Williams looked terrible last game. I do think he'll look better on Sunday night, but it won't be good enough to beat the Texans. The Texans are going to win this game. You want to be safe, take the money line, but I would personally take the spread because they're definitely going to win by at least a touchdown, which will give you plus money. And then last but certainly not least, the Falcons and the Eagles. This is a game that This is a game that at the beginning of the season I would have told you was probably going to be tighter than I think it will be now. I think the Eagles definitely win this game. If you want to be safe, you take their money line, but I think you're safe to take their spread. They had the spread at 6. I would bump it up to 6.5. That'll give you plus money. I just don't think that the Falcons are prepared to stop the Eagles really on any front at this point. I just don't think that they're equipped to do it. So those are my parlay picks. I'll do a shorter version than my shorts. I might even do some player pops. I'll probably wait till, maybe I'll do some player props tomorrow. We'll see. All right, but those are my thoughts on the Dolphins, and those are the props I think you guys should go with. I'm out. Peace.